Welcome back to the Chattable podcast, where enrich vocabulary and speak English with pride.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Yeah, so picture this for a second. You are down by 12 points. The crowd is screaming so loudly you literally can't hear yourself think. And your carefully crafted strategy is just completely falling apart.
Right, a total nightmare scenario.
Exactly. So how do you describe that exact moment of intense pressure and, well, absolute panic in perfect, fluent English?
Yeah.
Today, we are not just giving you some boring textbook list of vocabulary words. We are actually going on a journey.
We really are. The mission for this episode is to take you through a complete narrative arc of a high-stakes event. So we will start with the overwhelming media hype that, precedes a massive showdown.
The big buildup.
Right. And from there, we will shift into the mental zone of peak performance and aggressive strategy. But then we will look at the dangerous trap of blindly following flawed plans. And finally, we will crash right into the harsh reality of communication breakdowns and totally useless efforts.
Wow. So it's a full story.
Exactly. It is a complete story told entirely through 8 powerful English expressions.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the real secret to mastering these specific phrases isn't rote memorization. It is about understanding their physical, tactile origins.
Right, getting your hands dirty.
Yeah. These phrases are rooted in dirt, in tools, in mechanics, and in nature. When you can actually feel and visualize the origins of these words, they stop being abstract vocabulary and they become unforgettable tools in your own speech.
That is so true.
So let's jump right into the very beginning of our narrative arc. Every major event starts with an overwhelming amount of attention, right? Our first phrase sets the stage for that, and that phrase is wall to wall.
Wall to wall.
Now, I always assumed this was a modern phrase,
Yeah.
like something about having television screens covering every wall in a room.
A lot of people think that, but it is actually much simpler than that. It comes directly from the world of interior design.
Oh, really? Interior design?
Yeah, like laying down flooring. So I want you to walk into a large, empty concrete room in your mind.
Okay, I am picturing it. Very cold and empty.
Right. Now, you bring in a massive, heavy roll of carpet. You lay that carpet down on one side, stretching it continuously from one solid wall across every single inch of the floor, all the way to the opposite wall.
So there are no gaps at all.
Exactly. You leave absolutely zero bare floor exposed. Metaphorically, when we say something is wall to wall, we mean it is entirely filled. It is happening continuously, obsessively, without a single microsecond of a break.
That makes so much more sense than the TV screen thing. Just think about the sensory overload when a massive event kicks off, like the World Cup or a highly contested political election.
Oh, the coverage is relentless.
Right. The media coverage becomes completely wall-to-wall. You turn on the television on a Tuesday morning, and the sports network is broadcasting a live match.
And it doesn't stop there.
No.
Yeah.
The second the match ends, they cut directly to a panel of experts arguing about the match, which immediately rolls into a live press conference with the players. And then that flows right into a documentary about the teams.
It just keeps going.
Yeah, you check again at midnight, and it is still going. There is absolutely no empty space in the broadcast schedule. They have literally carpeted your entire day with content.
That is a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
It is relentless. You cannot escape it. But,
Yeah.
the media doesn't just broadcast wall-to-wall coverage just for the sake of it.
Right? They have an agenda.
Exactly. There is a deep psychological purpose behind it. They are actively trying to manipulate the energy of the public. They are preparing the audience for the main event, which leads perfectly into our second phrase.
Okay, what is it?
All of that wall-to-wall coverage is designed to whip up the crowd.
Whip up. Now that is a really interesting verb choice. Whip sounds so violent. So if the media is covering an event wall to wall, what is the physical effect on the audience? Like, how does that translate?
Well, to really feel this one, we have to go straight into the kitchen.
The kitchen, okay.
Yeah, imagine you are holding a metal wire whisk, and you have a bowl of heavy, thick liquid cream right in front of you.
Okay, I have my whisk.
If you just slowly, lazily stir that cream, nothing happens, right? It stays flat.
Yeah, you just get swirling liquid.
Right. But if you rapidly, aggressively, and violently beat that cream with the whisk, You whip it up. You are physically forcing air into the liquid until it violently transforms into a bubbling, highly energetic foam.
Oh, wow. I love that kitchen analogy.
Yeah, it is so visual. When you apply this to human psychology, to whip up a crowd means to take a stadium full of relatively calm, quiet people and stir them into a loud, passionate, bubbling frenzy.
It perfectly captures how the energy physically changes states. From liquid to foam. Let's put this into a real-world scenario so we can really see it. Let's go to Wimbledon.
Oh, the tennis tournament. Perfect.
Right, the most prestigious tennis tournament in the world. Historically, the Wimbledon crowd is very polite, like you could hear a pin drop during the rally.
Just very polite clapping.
Exactly. Now, imagine a young, unranked tennis star is playing against a world champion. The young player is losing. He is totally backed into a corner, sprinting desperately along the baseline, and suddenly he executes an unbelievable standard-defying trick shot right behind his back.
Oh, man. And the ball lands perfectly on the line.
Yes. The ball lands perfectly on the line, and the silence in the stadium breaks for a split second as everyone gasps.
Just that sharp intake of breath.
Exactly. And in that split second, the young player turns to the stands, and instead of walking quietly back to serve, he starts aggressively waving his arms upward, screaming at the polite crowd, begging them to make noise.
He is actively trying to whip up that packed stadium.
Yes. He wants them abandoning their polite applause. He wants them roaring and stomping their feet. He is the metal whisk, and the crowd is the flat cream. He is forcing energy into them.
And you can literally feel the atmosphere in that stadium transform into foam. It becomes absolutely electric.
It really does.
But here is where our narrative arc takes a turn. That incredible roaring energy creates a massive new problem for the athlete.
But because of the noise.
Exactly. To perform another brilliant, millimeter-perfect trick shot under that kind of deafening pressure, the athlete cannot afford to be distracted by the very monster he just created.
Right. The crowd is too loud now.
So to execute flawlessly, he must be completely dialed in.
Oh, dialed in. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because I feel like we use dialed in all the time in modern corporate speak. But the physical origin is ancient technology.
Ancient by our standards, definitely.
Yeah, we were talking about old, heavy analog radios.
Yeah.
Long before you could just tap a digital screen or tell your smart speaker to find a station, you had to physically grab a heavy, round plastic dial and turn it by hand.
Precisely. And it was an incredibly delicate process, wasn't it?
It really was. If you were even a millimeter off the frequency, your ears would be blasted with that loud, harsh, crackling static.
Just terrible noise.
You had to use absolute precision, turning that dial microscopic amounts, tuning out the noise until suddenly the static vanished, and you had a perfectly clear, crisp voice coming through the speaker.
And that static is the perfect metaphor for the noise of the whipped-up crowd, you know?
Yeah.
The pressure of the moment, the stress of failing.
The internal panic.
Right. So when we say a person is dialed in, it means their brain is perfectly tuned to the exact frequency of the task in front of them. They are operating with absolute laser-like precision, and they have completely eliminated all the static of the outside world.
It's highly ironic that we still say someone is dialed in when, like, half the workforce today has never even touched an analog radio dial.
I know. It is pretty funny when you think about it.
But the metaphor survives because the feeling of finding that pure mental frequency is universally human.
Oh, definitely.
Just picture a professional basketball game. The shoes are squeaking on the hardwood. The opposing fans are screaming horrible insults. The shot clock is flashing red in the background.
Total chaos.
But you look at a point guard, someone like Jalen Brunson, and you can see in his eyes that he is completely dialed in. The noise doesn't exist for him.
He doesn't hear the insults at all.
Exactly. He is effortlessly reading the complex rotations of the defense, anticipating movements before they happen, and directing his teammates with this terrifying calm. He isn't guessing. His signal is perfectly clear.
He is in a pure flow state. Absolute control. Now, let us push our high-stakes narrative forward a bit.
Okay, where are we going?
The first half of the game is over. The players are battered, they are bruised, and they are retreating to the locker room for the halftime break.
They need a minute to breathe.
Right. And a great coach knows that their players are currently dialed in, but they need to capitalize on that intense focus to guarantee victory in the second half.
So how do they do that?
Well, to do this, the coach will use our fourth phrase, They must hammer home the core strategy.
Hammer home. You know, my first instinct when I hear hammer home is something musical, like hitting a massive gong to get everyone's attention. But this isn't musical at all, is it?
No, not at all. We are leaving the radio and walking straight into a dusty carpentry workshop.
Oh, I love the smell of sawdust.
I want you to feel the weight of a heavy, solid iron hammer in your hand.
Okay, got it.
You have a long, thick metal nail that needs to be driven into a dense piece of oak wood. Now, you cannot just lightly tap the top of that nail once and expect it to hold the wood together.
No, it'll just fall out immediately.
Right. You must raise that heavy hammer and strike the nail repeatedly with immense, exhausting force until the flat head of the nail is completely flush against the wood. It is now secure in its final resting place, which carpenters refer to as driving it home.
It is a violent, necessary repetition.
Exactly.
In speech, to hammer home an idea means you are repeating a critical point so forcefully and so clearly that it becomes permanently lodged in your audience's brain. You are violently driving the concept right into their minds.
That is exactly it.
Let's go back to that sweaty halftime locker room. The players are exhausted. They're drinking water, trying to catch their breath. The head coach stands in the center of the room. He knows the opponent is going to play dirty in the second half.
So he has to make sure they are ready.
Right. So he doesn't just casually mention the defense. He paces the room. He raises his voice to a shout. He points aggressively at individual players, stating over and over again that tight defensive communication is the only way they survive the next 20 minutes.
He is not letting them forget it.
No. He is hammering home that single concept, striking the nail over and over until it is perfectly secure in every single player's exhausted mind.
And that works, usually. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, it raises a rather terrifying question.
Oh, what is that?
We have a team that is whipped up, they're deeply dialed in, and the coach has aggressively hammered home a specific tactical plan.
Sounds like a winning formula.
It does.
Yeah.
But what happens if that plan, the very strategy they are executing with absolute perfection, is fundamentally flawed from the very first second?
Oh, no.
Yeah. What if they are flawlessly executing a terrible idea? Well, that means their entire high-stakes mission is a fool's errand.
Oh, a fool's errand. I completely fell down a rabbit hole researching the history of this phrase for this episode.
Yeah.
It has such a funny and honestly incredibly cruel origin.
It really does.
Hundreds of years ago, there was a common hazing ritual among experienced tradesmen and construction workers.
Basically bullying the new guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When a naive young apprentice, the fool, joined the crew on their first day, the older, cynical workers would play a psychological joke on them. They would send this eager young worker on an errand, telling them they urgently needed a highly specific, totally fictional object to finish the job.
Right. They would send them down the street to the local shop to ask for a bucket of steam.
Yes, a bucket of steam. Or they would ask for a left-handed hammer or a glass mallet.
Just completely absurd things.
And this poor kid would spend 6 hours sprinting around town, sweating, asking every shopkeeper for a bucket of steam, completely failing to realize that capturing a bucket of steam is scientifically impossible.
It is a brilliant historical joke, but it perfectly diagnoses a massive modern problem. Today, a fool's errand isn't just a prank.
No, we use it for serious situations now.
We do.
Yep.
It describes any task, strategy, or corporate mission that is completely pointless, scientifically unrealistic, or absolutely guaranteed to end in total failure, regardless of how much effort, money, or focus you pour into it.
So you can be incredibly dialed in, but if your job is to find a bucket of steam, you will still fail.
You will always fail.
Think about the modern world of high finance. You have these junior analysts sitting at desks with 6 computer monitors, drinking their 5th cup of coffee, desperately trying to predict the exact peak day of a highly volatile stock market.
Oh, that is so stressful.
It is a complete fool's errand. They are trying to find the bucket of steam. It doesn't matter how advanced their spreadsheets are, because human panic and emotion drive the market, and no algorithm can perfectly predict when millions of humans will simultaneously panic.
They are burning immense resources on an impossible outcome.
Exactly.
Now imagine our sports team suddenly realizes this out on the field. They realize the strategy the coach hammered home is a fool's errand. The safe, standard plays are guaranteeing their defeat.
That would be a terrifying realization.
It is. And that terrifying realization breeds immediate desperation. Instead of accepting the loss gracefully, human nature often pushes us to take an enormous, uncontrollable risk. They decide to throw caution to the wind.
Now, I have to admit, for years I thought this was a sailing metaphor.
Oh, like on a boat.
Yeah, I pictured a ship captain throwing the ship's anchor or the compass into a heavy ocean wind to make the boat go faster. But that's not the imagery at all, is it?
No, it's actually much more delicate and therefore much more terrifying.
Okay, tell me.
I want you to imagine you are holding a handful of loose, incredibly light bird feathers.
Feathers. Okay.
As long as your fist is tightly closed, those feathers are safe. That closed fist represents your caution, your safety protocols, your careful game plans, your hesitation.
Got it. I am holding on tight.
But now, imagine standing on a cliff edge and a powerful, roaring windstorm blows past you. If you make the conscious choice to open your hand in that wind, the gale instantly catches every single feather, violently scattering them across the sky in 100 different directions.
Oh, wow. You lose absolute control in a fraction of a second.
Instantly.
Once you open that fist, you can never, ever get those feathers back. To throw caution to the wind means you deliberately abandon all your safety measures. You ignore the massive flashing warning signs and take a wild, uncontrollable risk because you are so desperate you feel it is the only remaining option to survive.
That is beautifully stated. Let us look at an underdog American football team to see this in action. They are getting crushed. They are down by 12 points, the opposing defense is monstrous, and there are only 2 minutes left on the clock.
The clock is ticking down.
Right. If they run the safe, standard plays they practiced all week, the math says they will lose. Their season ends today. So the coach and the quarterback lock eyes on the sideline and they deliberately throw caution to the wind.
They just toss the playbook out.
They abandon the playbook entirely. They start calling massive risk trick plays. The quarterback is throwing the ball blindly backward across the field. The receivers are running chaotic routes.
That is so dangerous.
They are risking humiliating interceptions and total disaster, but they don't care. They have opened their fist and let the hurricane take the feathers.
It is the ultimate heart-stopping gamble. But we all know what happens when you run chaotic trick plays against a superior team. Massive gambles usually fail.
Sadly, yes, they do.
And when that failure hits, the aftermath is incredibly painful to watch. The team is physically exhausted, completely stressed out, and overwhelmed by defeat. When that mental collapse happens, the first thing to break down is communication.
It always is.
Instead of speaking with clarity, people start to mutter and ramble.
Ah, yes. This brings us to the breakdown phase of our narrative. These two distinct verbs flawlessly describe the physical and mental symptoms of total exhaustion.
Let's look at muttering first.
Okay. When someone mutters, pay attention to their jaw. Their mouth is nearly closed.
Right, like they can barely open it.
They are speaking in a very low, unclear, rumbling vibration in the back of their throat. You physically have to lean your ear toward their face just to hear them, and even then, the consonants are completely blurry.
It's just noise. And then you combine that physical sound with rambling. If muttering is the sound of the voice, rambling is the terrifying lack of direction in the brain.
Oh, that is a great way to describe it.
Yeah, imagine a person walking into a dense, dark forest without a map or a compass. They are just wandering aimlessly in circles, stepping over the same logs, never reaching a destination.
Completely lost.
When a person rambles, their speech wanders exactly like that. They talk in endless, exhausting circles without making a single clear point.
Put them together, and muttering and rambling paints a tragic picture of someone producing quiet, confusing, completely off-topic noise.
I can actually picture this perfectly in a corporate setting.
Oh, absolutely.
Picture a high-pressure corporate crisis. It is 3:00 a.m. A critical software build has just failed, crashing the entire company server and bleeding thousands of dollars a minute.
A total disaster.
Yes. The lead developer has been awake for 40 hours. An emergency meeting is called. The developer slowly stands up by the whiteboard to explain how they are going to fix the crash.
Oh, I feel bad for this guy already.
Right. But instead of clearly charting a path forward, they just stand there, staring blankly at the marker in their hand, muttering and rambling about unrelated minor code bugs from the year 2023.
It's so painful. You can just picture the executives in the room leaning forward, squinting, desperately trying to understand this low, rumbling noise.
But the developer's just lost in the forest. Nobody can follow their logic, which means their words are doing absolutely nothing to stop the server from crashing.
Nothing at all.
And when your communication completely breaks down like that, or when you offer tiny solutions that are completely mismatched to the gigantic size of the problem, your efforts become utterly meaningless. In fact, those small, unclear efforts will just feel like a fart in the wind.
Now, We must pause here.
Yes, I definitely need to issue a very strict red alert warning for you right now.
Oh, please do.
This final phrase relies on very direct, vulgar humor. It involves bodily functions. Because of that, you must absolutely never, under any circumstances, use this phrase in a formal boardroom meeting, a job interview, or while speaking to your grandmother.
Seriously, do not use it there.
But we are discussing it in this episode because, as a tool for understanding how English speakers use extreme contrast to make a point, it is structurally brilliant.
It really is. What's fascinating here is the sheer physics of scale that makes this vulgar metaphor so effective.
Okay, break that down for us.
Well, we just talked about throwing caution to the wind, releasing feathers into a massive raging storm. Now imagine standing in that exact same deafening, roaring hurricane and releasing a tiny, microscopic puff of gas.
Oh my goodness.
The sheer, overwhelming force of the massive storm instantly annihilates it. It is completely unnoticeable. Metaphorically, calling an action a fart in the wind means it is an attempt so hilariously small and insignificant that it fails to make even a microscopic impact on a massive, overwhelming problem.
Wait, let me challenge this for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
If someone is trying to fix a massive problem with a tiny solution, why isn't that just a fool's errand? Aren't they basically the same thing?
That is a great distinction to make. A fool's errand is about the impossibility of the task itself, hunting for a bucket of steam. The goal is a fantasy.
Right, it doesn't exist.
Exactly. But a fart in the wind is about a catastrophic mismatch in scale. The goal might be real, but the tool you are using is so ridiculously small compared to the disaster that your effort is instantly swept away.
Ah, I see. Okay, let's look at a corporate example, but let's put this conversation in a pub after work rather than in the boardroom, given the language.
A good call.
Imagine a massive logistics corporation is facing a multi-million-dollar budget deficit. The company is actively bleeding millions. Two colleagues are having a beer, and one says, "Did you hear Dave's brilliant plan? He suggested we fix the budget crisis by cutting the office's weekly $20 donut delivery."
Oh, Dave.
Right. Trying to plug a multi-million-dollar hole in a sinking ship by saving $20 on glazed donuts is like a fart in the wind.
Yeah.
The massive storm of corporate debt just completely swallows that $20 without a trace. It won't change a single thing.
It is the ultimate expression of complete uselessness. The storm doesn't even notice the effort.
So what does this all mean for you? As we step back and look at the entire narrative arc we traveled today in this episode, from the sensory overload of wall-to-wall hype, to dialing in our focus, realizing we were on a fool's errand, panicking, throwing caution to the wind, and finally muttering and rambling as our efforts blow away in the wind, the greatest takeaway is this.
Which is?
Mastering English is deeply visual. It is not about flat text on a page. You have to actually see the bewildered apprentice asking for the bucket of steam.
You really do.
You have to feel the resistance of that heavy analog radio dial clicking into place. You have to watch those loose feathers get ripped from your hand. When you lock those vivid physical sensations into your mind, you won't just remember the vocabulary. You will use it with immense pride and undeniable confidence.
That is so true. And as we close, this journey raises one final important question for you to deeply consider on your own.
Oh, I love these questions. What is it?
Think about the complex intersection of the phrases we explored today. If you are perfectly, brilliantly dialed in, tuning out all distractions with flawless precision to a task that is ultimately a fool's errand, does your intense, perfect focus actually guarantee your failure?
Wow. Perfect execution of a terrible idea.
Exactly.
That is a brilliant and slightly terrifying concept to sit with.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us and tuning into this episode of Chattable. Keep visualizing the language, keep practicing these expressions boldly, and we will see you next time.